Hey guys, it's Sandra with Conversion Minded. I'm super excited to be here today, diving back into YouTube thanks to the Create and Dominate Challenge. If you haven't already joined, check the description below. It's 45 days of intense content creation to get visible online and market our businesses the way we know we need in order to grow. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm sharing 12 ways to repurpose your content. Some of them may be new for you. Some of them maybe you've already tried. I hope to inspire you with some of the ones that I'm going to be covering today. And then I'm going to talk about how to plan your repurposing strategy so you're not overwhelmed, so that you kind of have a system for how to start and then how to kind of get where you want to be, and also a tracking system that I think will be helpful for you. So first, let me dive into those 12 ways to repurpose your content. The first way is with cross-posting your social media posts. So a lot of you guys have asked in the group if you can share from Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, if you can share the same post to multiple platforms. And the answer is you definitely can and you should, because it's a big time saver, right? So absolutely, you can do that. There are a couple things you're going to want to keep in mind. The description, the caption, you might want to change. You know, with Instagram, we just get that one link in bio. So you might want to go back and make sure that if you have a link in there, you want to change the link for Facebook, change the link for Pinterest, wherever you're sharing it. The other thing is the image sizes. So if you have a square image, it's going to work well for Instagram, it's going to work well for Facebook, and it'll work well now for Pinterest too. Again, you want to go back to Pinterest and make sure that if you are sharing it there too, let's say that you have your account linked Instagram to Pinterest, which you certainly can do. Even you can do that with YouTube and Pinterest. But if you link the account, just make sure you're driving traffic where you want that traffic to go. If you want to grow your Instagram, you can repost your Instagram directly to Pinterest without changing anything. And that's a great way to grow your IG following. But if you want to drive traffic to your original piece of content, whether it's a YouTube video or a blog post, then you're going to want to change that pin description. You're going to want to do the same thing on your Facebook caption, right? So just keep that in mind. You're generally going to have to go back and just tweak it anyway. So that's number one, you can definitely cross-post, and you should be. And number two is same idea, we're still talking social media, but you can take your Instagram stories and you can share them to Facebook stories. So let's say you're not really kind of 100% into Facebook stories, but you still want to have a presence, still want to check it out. It's a great way to dive in. Again, you can link your account and that'll automatically share your stories to Facebook. If you don't want everyone to be shared to Facebook, then you can do it manually too. You can just download that and then share it over to Facebook. Keep in mind that if you have 10,000 Instagram followers, you're probably not going to want to do the automatic way because of that swipe up link. But otherwise, you're fine with automatically posting. I don't like to automatically post because I always have to wind up changing the description a little bit. So I like to have a little bit more control. And like, let's say I'll share my business quotes from IG to Pinterest. I think that's totally fine. It's a great way to, get the engagement over, get people over to Instagram. But I don't do it automatically. I found that to be a little bit more of a headache than a helpful thing, but it's totally up to you. So that leads me to number three. You can moving away from social media a little bit, we're going to talk about other types of content. You can take your blog posts and you can turn them into videos. And there are two ways that you can do that. I'm sure this is not a new concept for you guys, but I just want to reintroduce it because it's something that a lot of us are still not doing, right? We're not really putting it into practice. So there are two ways that you can do that. You can certainly do what I'm doing and just grab your webcam, grab a mic, and hop on and do some FaceTime camera. And that'll be your video. And the other thing that you can do is you can use a video generator tool, something like Lumen 5, which is great. I've used it, and it'll take your text. You have to do a little bit of massaging, but it'll take your text and then turn them into kind of a slideshow format video. You can add some music. So this is a great way if you're a little bit camera shy, you're not really ready to dive into the tech side of what that all means and lighting and everything, then this is a great way to still be repurposing, still get some of your content out there over on YouTube. So you can consider that as well. The fourth way is that you can take that same blog post and you can pitch it as a guest blog post. Now, I'm not talking about taking the direct blog post. What I'm talking about is taking the idea, taking the framework, and kind of building upon it in a different way, taking people down a different path or spinning a different angle on it, coming at it from a different viewpoint. But it's a great way to take an idea that you've already kind of fleshed out, put a new spin on it, and you're not reinventing the wheel with an entirely new guest post. And the other thing that's really great with that is that if you link back to your blog post that was the inspiration for that guest post, then it's going to be highly relevant. So when people link over to it and you have, maybe you've built that thought out a different way originally, then it'll be really, really relevant and people will like it. So that leads me to number 5, still talking about repurposing blog posts. You can take your blog post and you can turn it into a freebie. This is great to do, especially if you have a long blog post. Maybe people don't have enough time to read it. They want to be able to download it later so that they can check it out later. So you're actually doing people a favor when you do this because they'll be able to grab it, download it, and reference it later. And all you have to do with that is simply put a link that says, download this post as a PDF so you can read it later, and that's it. You don't have to create a big fancy graphic. You can just say, or a button, say, download it for later. Okay, that leads me to number 6. I'm going to switch that now, and we're going to talk about turning your freebie into a blog post. And the reason that I'm starting to bring this up is because I think we all have these massive archives of content because we spend so much time on content that we don't realize that we can pull from, and we can kind of do the reverse here. We can take the freebie and you can create a blog post out of it. So give some thought to that. If you already have created freebies, you can turn them into blog posts and put that same link that says download this as a PDF on your blog post because you've already created the PDF. Okay, now we're moving on to number 7. I'm looking at my list here. I have a lot for you guys. Number 7 is if you're emailing your list already, the way that I do, I kind of try to think about my email list as a second blog. I do the same thing on Instagram. I kind of look at that as a microblog. So I take the captions that I'm writing and the emails that I'm writing, and then I flesh them out as blog posts because you've already spent the time to get your thought together. You can just build it out a little bit and you can create a blog post. So your captions, your emails, you can take those and turn those into blog posts. Number 8 is you can take your freebie, the same freebie that I just mentioned, and turn it into a video. I think that there's so many different ways to maximize the reach of your content, and I'm just bringing up things that you may not have thought about because I think sometimes we think about turning our blog posts into different formats already, but we don't necessarily think about taking things like our freebies and our free courses and challenges and doing the reverse and also repurposing those. So you can definitely take that PDF, especially if you have like some steps in there, you're really giving people kind of a guide or a blueprint. It's easy enough to then take that and turn it into a video as well. Okay, now I touched on this. This is number 9. You want to take all of your concrete content and turn that into social media posts. Now, I know that you're already creating graphics for your blog posts and your videos and things like that, but are you creating multiple graphics? I think that one of the things that you want to keep in mind is to always create multiple posts for every single piece of content that you're creating to get more exposure on it. And a great way to do that is to dig into the content that you created, grab some highlights, grab some quotes, grab maybe just a quick tip from that and turn that into a visual that you can share on your social media, get more eyeballs on it, drive traffic, more and more traffic to that blog post or that video. Okay, so that's number 9. Number 10 is do the reverse of creating your blog posts as videos and now take your videos and turn them into blog posts. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, how am I going to do that? I don't even blog. I don't want to do that. But you can use a service like rev.com to create a transcription of your blog post, and that way it kind of is your blog post, and all you have to do is tweak the verbiage, the language of it, maybe check for your keywords for SEO, and now you have your video and your blog post that can potentially be driving traffic. And I've seen it happen where both the video and the blog post can come up in search. So think about doing that. I mean, if you've already spent the time to craft a really good video, it makes sense to find a way to get that onto your blog. You can even just embed your video on your blog with a brief intro, and that becomes a blog post that then you have another way to drive traffic to that, because this is a whole nother entity that you can create posts for and drive traffic to, but it's the same virtual piece of content. Okay, so think about that. We're rounding it out here. I'm coming up on number 11. We talked about doing your freebies as blog posts and things like that. Now I'm going to talk about those free challenges that I mentioned, those free courses that you're likely starting to create for your audience. If you have any of that content, turn those into blog posts, turn them into videos. We don't have to keep our content in vacuums and kind of isolated islands. We want to share them in as many ways as possible. So dig into the stuff that you've already created for that, and not only for free, but number 12, take your paid courses and pull out a lesson, create a blog post out of it. Let people know this is the first lesson in your course, and let them go directly to your course to find out more. It's a great way to not only help people, but make them really excited about your course. And what you can do then, when you're driving traffic that way, is you can have maybe a section inside of a course for free stuff, and you already know that that's going to be free stuff. Okay, so those are my 12 ways to repurpose content. There are a million ways to repurpose content, but I hope that that has given you some really good ideas. Maybe you're doing some of them already. Maybe it's helping you round out your strategy. I want to quickly talk about those other things that I said I would mention, and that is how to plan your repurposing strategy and how to track your repurposing efforts. Okay, so the first of those is planning. I got two things to say about that. So when you're planning your repurposing, I want you to focus on your primary channel first. So if you're focusing on building your YouTube channel or your Instagram, you're primarily creating content, you're thinking about that platform first. Then you're going to take and trickle down to some other platforms. Okay, so don't feel like, oh, am I going to create a IGTV or a Facebook Live or YouTube. Figure out where you want to call your home base, and then everything else is secondary. Okay, so that will help guide you. It'll help you not stress. It'll help you be able to approach it in the right way. The second thing about planning is to think about planning ahead. When you know you're going to repurpose your content, you can frame a better strategy around it. So for instance, I'm creating this video right now for you guys inside my challenge, but I'm also building out my YouTube content strategy. That's part of the challenge. So I already know that. So this is where I'm hosting the video. I had to think about whether I was going to do a Facebook Live, where I was going to host this, whether I was going to do it inside of the group. And I decided ultimately to focus on YouTube and then repurpose it. I'm going to share it with you guys, give you the link tomorrow so you'll have it. But that's how you should approach yours too. So don't feel like you have to be everywhere. Lean in on that one platform. Think about, plan ahead for what you're going to do with that piece of content. Similarly, in terms of planning ahead, if you're creating a free challenge, if you're creating a paid course, and you know that you're going to want to grab freebies and you're going to want to turn some of that into blog posts, which you should, then you can, as I mentioned, kind of have a section inside of your course, and that's for free stuff. You can drive people to it when you're sharing your blog posts and you're sharing your landing pages and everything. And then they're inside of your course already, but the rest of it's gated, and they have this free section, but they're going to see everything else, and they're going to be, really kind of inclined to find out more about what your course is about because they see all the stuff there. So think, kind of work backwards as you start getting into repurposing your content, and know that this one piece you're going to leverage for more than one post. Okay, so that is the planning, and similarly to the planning then, you want a way to track what you're doing. So when we talk about repurposing content, we're kind of also talking about promoting content at the same time, because in order to promote your content in a number of places, you need to change the format, you need to change the media type and things like that. So it's really good to have a spreadsheet and to kind of list out, maybe you start with these 12 ideas right here, and you look at the ones that are easiest for you to tackle right now. Like, you should not be trying to do all this at once. There's no way you're going to. This is aspirational. It's where you want to wind up, right? So you need to develop workflows around it. So create a spreadsheet for yourself. I do this all the time. And then list the ones that are your core, the ones that you feel like you could do today. So if that's cross-posting, your social media posts, start there. If then you want to branch out into your stories, you layer that on. So kind of just look at these in columns, but this becomes a dual purpose here of tracking whether or not you actually did it. So you mark the date that you did it and you shared it. And then you can start to see your progress, and then you can start to layer on the next one that makes sense for you once you're comfortable with doing the core of your repurposing strategy. So plan ahead and then track what you're doing and plan like a growth model. Maybe the first month you're going to just do this in terms of repurposing. The second month you're going to try to tackle this one thing. And before you know it, you'll have a number of them under your belt and you'll have a really good repurposing strategy. So I hope this is really helpful for you. Remember those 12 repurposing tips I just shared. Come see me, join me in the Create and Dominate Challenge. I'd love to see you there. And if this video was helpful for you, you want more like this, please subscribe to my channel. I'm super excited to be back at it. And I hope to be helping you guys out with tips to help you grow your online business, social media marketing, email marketing, products, courses, all of it. I hope to see you guys soon.